Imagine being 16 years old, suffering from leprosy, ruling a kingdom surrounded by enemies, and still managing to crush the greatest military commander of your age. Today we're diving into the insane true story of King Baldwin IV of Jerusalem, the Leper King, and how he shocked the medieval world by defeating Saladin at the Battle of Montgisard. Grab your armor, this one gets wild. The setup. By 1177, Saladin is the biggest political force in the Middle East. Saladin is on a hot streak, uniting Egypt and Syria, swatting aside rivals, and building a standing army the Crusader states simply can't match. He's virtually steamrolling his way toward controlling the entire region. Meanwhile, the Kingdom of Jerusalem? Let's just say it's not exactly thriving. Politicians arguing, nobles stabbing each other in the back, metaphorically and sometimes literally, and manpower so stretched they're basically defending a house of cards. And in the middle of all that chaos is Baldwin IV, a teenager with a disease that everybody at the time considered a death sentence. But he isn't just smart, he's sharp, calculating and stubborn. Most rulers in his condition would have been a figurehead. Baldwin? No, he refuses to be just a figurehead. He's engaged, he studies strategy, he listens to battlefield reports, and he trains with his knights. This teenager is a true fighter. So when Saladin marches north with a massive army, we're talking tens of thousands, reportedly around 26,000. Every reasonable strategist assumes Jerusalem is finished. But Baldwin is not every reasonable strategist. He decides he's not waiting around for a siege. He's going to meet Saladin head-on. The invasion and Baldwin's gamble. Here's where Saladin makes a rare mistake. He underestimates Baldwin. He assumes the young king is too sick and too far to respond. So Saladin invades aggressively, taking a more relaxed approach than usual. His troops loot, spread out, march fast, and get sloppy. This is where Baldwin's instincts kick in. He gathers what forces he can, a small corps of knights, local militias, and crucially, a squad of Knights Templar. Baldwin orders a forced march. No rest, no waiting for better odds. They ride hard under the blistering November sun, covering brutal distances to catch Saladin before he can react. And this isn't just traveling, this is a flat-out sprint, horses exhausted, men barely hanging on. Baldwin himself has to be physically supported on his horse because his illness is progressing, yet he refuses to stop. This moment, this decision, is the pivot point of the entire campaign. The stand at Montgisard. Baldwin and his men reach a hill near Montgisard, utterly drained, and right as they arrive, they see a massive cloud of dust on the horizon. That's Saladin's rear guard, the tail end of the biggest army in the region. Now this is where any normal king would say, let's hide on the hill and wait for reinforcements. But Baldwin looks at this enormous force and says, we're charging. His commanders are stunned. The odds are ridiculous, but Baldwin is betting on two things. One, Saladin doesn't expect to fight right now. Two, a surprise cavalry charge can shatter a relaxed army. And honestly, he's right. The battle. Baldwin orders the relic of the true cross brought forward. This isn't just religious symbolism. For medieval crusaders, this is the ultimate morale booster. The Templars surround Baldwin, raising their banners. Saladin's scouts finally realize what's happening. Too late. His army is stretched over miles, tired from looting, cooking, walking, and generally not expecting to get smashed by an elite cavalry charge. Baldwin forms his knights into a tight wedge. He personally rides at the front, with knights literally holding him upright so he doesn't fall off the saddle. Then the order is given. The horns blow, and the Crusaders thunder downhill. What follows is shock therapy. The Crusader cavalry slams into Saladin's center with enough force to punch through like a medieval battering ram. The Templars hit so hard that entire units break instantly. Saladin's troops panic. Rumors spread that the Christians are fighting with divine backing. Soldiers start fleeing before Baldwin's men even reach them. Saladin himself, he barely escapes. He abandons his famous black camel, flees with a tiny bodyguard, and leaves behind a huge chunk of his supply train. His army collapses behind him in total disarray. For a commander as disciplined as Saladin, this is more than a military loss. It's humiliating. The aftermath and legacy. When Baldwin rides back into Jerusalem, he's not just a king, he's a legend. A prophecy breaker. A kid who took a kingdom on life support and pulled off one of the most improbable victories of the Middle Ages. But reality is harsh. Baldwin's condition keeps worsening. He'll win more battles, but his body is failing. And without a strong long-term ruler, the kingdom eventually fractures. Saladin learns from Montgisard. He doesn't underestimate the Crusaders again. A decade later, he returns stronger and takes Jerusalem. But Baldwin doesn't live to see that day. Still, Montgisard stands as a moment where everything should have gone wrong, but didn't. Where courage, timing, and leadership flipped the script. Where a sick teenager embarrassed one of the greatest generals of the age. If you enjoyed this ride through one of history's wildest underdog victories, hit that like button and subscribe. And drop a comment about which battle or leader you want next. History's got plenty more where this came from. Until then, keep your sword sharp and your wits sharper.